Okay, so Away is a Netflix original series starring Hilary Swank, and I got to do some Foley for all the episodes. And so in this series, I was focused predominantly on footsteps and also doing some of the sounds in space when the astronauts are outside of their spacecraft. So one of the challenges that presented itself here is that the show is about a journey to Mars, and spoiler alert, they get to Mars. So I had to create a surface that would be used for the sound of their footsteps as they're walking on the Martian surface. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through a bit of the process of how I went about creating that surface and what I used. When you're creating a surface for something that really nobody has ever heard, it obviously allows for a little bit of creative freedom, but you have to work very closely with the visuals that you're given to make sure that it works with the picture. So here we go. So I felt like a good starting point was this surface, which I use as a layer for snow sometimes. It's ironic because snow is wet and Mars is obviously dry, but they both have kind of a light, crunchy feel to them. And what this is made up of is some sand, a couple of kinds of kitty litter, and actually some bird feed, which kind of gives it a nice organic, crunchy element. So this was a good base to start the surface out. So it needed to be a little bit more crunchy, so I ended up adding a bunch of screenings into it. That's this stuff here, just kind of like small, really fine gravel, and that gave it some good crunchiness. So it felt like it was getting closer to the way the surface looked to me and how I imagined hearing it. Okay, so I wanted to make it kind of unrecognizable to a certain extent though. So these hardwood pellets are very light and hard and are not used in surfaces very often. And then I love kicking horse coffee. This is not an ad, it's just what I drink. But I threw in a whole bunch of coffee beans, and I thought that was a great addition because they kind of dissolve and crunch underfoot, so it really adds to the texture. And then some wood chips at the end, just nice and dry, and that was it. So with everything in there, this is what the surface looks like. I actually ended up using more wood chips than I initially thought I would. They're just a really dry, light component, and with the coffee beans in there too, it just gives you that kind of image of absence of water and dryness, which is important for that surface. And this is how it sounds. At least this is kind of how it sounds. You're only hearing my iPhone mic here. I don't publish our proper sounds on my page, but it gives you a sense of all the elements that are in there. And with the proper mics, there's a lot more depth and closeness and detail on every footstep. And I think it really worked very well in the context of the scene. However, they decided to not use any of it. But that's okay. This is an important lesson that all Foley artists learn, which is that sometimes you can spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, putting a lot of effort into creating all sorts of different sounds. As well you should. That's what the job is. But ultimately, it's not the Foley artist's decision whether these sounds get used in the final soundtrack. That comes down to the discretion of the mixer as well as the director. They may have a specific vision for what they want that scene to sound like, and sometimes it doesn't include Foley at all. So that's what happened in this case, and you know, I've heard the final scenes and they've decided to go with a more stylized version of the footsteps, just like a muted kind of sound that you would hear potentially like through your helmet. And it works very well. So it's rewarding when you get to hear your work played prominently in a scene, but you can't be discouraged if you don't. It doesn't mean that the Foley work is not good. It just means it didn't get played, and it's as easy as that. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you found this interesting, and share with a friend. Thanks. Bye.